artists, it's Miss Evans here, and I'm going to demonstrate how we make our flower garden painting today. You're going to start with a piece of paper. It might be a different color than this. Could be a rectangle, could be a square, but you're going to all start the same with your name and code on the back. And make sure that your art teacher can read it. Then you're going to flip it over, and you're actually going to put your pencil away in your pencil cup because we don't want it getting covered in paint. Today we are using liquid tempera paint. That's this beautiful paint right here. It's great for mixing, so your paint palette is your paper plate today. So this is yours to mix however you wish. Be mindful if you're mixing colors, you just take up a small space, kind of like this size, so that you can mix multiple colors if that is what you're doing. Otherwise, the colors here are great to use directly on your paper. You can see you have different values of pink, red, orange, and yellow, as well as green. And you can mix these to make tons of different values more than you already have as well. You also need a water bucket and a paintbrush. And very important today, we actually need paper towels because this kind of paint does not love water. But you still want to be washing your brush in between so they don't all turn gray and brown. So we're going to start with the top 2/3 of our paper. So imagine your paper is kind of divided in thirds. We're going to use 2/3 of it toward the top for our flowers and save 1/3 for our stems. So the colors we're going to start with are these yellows, oranges, reds, and pinks. And you're gonna start by, I always tell students to make sure their brush is clean prior to them using it. Sometimes we use black paint in previous classes, so you wanna make sure you wash your brush first and dry it off. So that's why we have the paper towel. You just kind of dry it off before you go into the color. I'm just gonna take my name tag off because it's making noises. So you can use any colors you want. I'm gonna start with this red. I'm just gonna go for the red. And I'm going to do some blobs. I call these blobs. Some of your blobs might be perfectly circular. Some might have bumpy edges. And you're thinking of different types of flowers. Now you guys are going to have a placemat behind your paper. I just forgot to grab one. So it's okay if you go off your page. I'll just wash my little space later. It's better to go off your page because at the end of this, we don't want any of our yellow or colored paper to be showing. And notice how I'm doing all my red first. Rather than doing one red flower, washing, another color, washing, this makes it so I have to wash my brush way less than if I were to do one color or one flower at a time. All right, I think that's enough red for me right now. I'm gonna wash my brush, make sure all the red is off, and then I'm gonna dry it off. And now I can go for my next color. And some of my flowers might be overlapping. That means that one is kind of hiding the other a little bit. And some of them might be smaller, medium, large. And I'm gonna try to mix another color right now. So I'm gonna grab some of this sort of burnt orange. I'm gonna wash my brush because I'm changing colors, dry it off. I'm gonna grab some of this beautiful magenta. I'm gonna see what this color is when I mix these together. And you can see, maybe I'll add a little more magenta. And now I have an all new color that I get to use on my painting. All right, I'm gonna grab some yellow. I haven't used the yellow yet. And I think I'm gonna make another of my own colors. This bright yellow is a little harsh for me, so I'm gonna grab some orange, kind of tone it down a little bit. Now I have this beautiful yellow orange that I get to use. And I'm going right off the edge of my paper. And sometimes you'll notice when your flowers touch, they kind of mix together. That's okay. It kind of adds to this abstract flower garden that we're making. All right, what haven't I used? I haven't really used this peach color. This peach color is beautiful on its own. So I'm just gonna grab some of that and blend it in here. All right, so you can see most of my yellow paper is covered with flowers. Of course, not the bottom little 1/3 because that's gonna be my, what are they called? Stems. So I do have a little bit of yellow paper showing. So I can either fill that in with flowers, or I can wait. When I do my stems, I could do little green leaves in there as well. But before I move on to my stems, step 2, so if step 1 was my flowers, step 2 is actually the centers of my stems. So now I'm going to grab a different color than what my flower was painted with. I'm going to do a little dollop. And I'm kind of trying to balance my paper. You notice I put yellow here, 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 and here, not all one spot of yellow, because our eyes like it when paintings are balanced. So that's what I am going for. And I like to do some of my centers of my flowers bigger and some smaller, just like real flowers are all different. You could even, if you wanted to, do multiple dots for a center. You don't have to do just one dot. Just kind of play around with it, and you could even do multiple colors. So I just used magenta. Now maybe I want to go on top of that with some red dots. I'm just going to continue until I've filled all the centers of my flowers. Maybe mix another color here, see what this makes. Nice red orange. All right, and I think I've hit all my flowers. So I'm gonna wash my brush really well because I don't want any red or orange and yellow in my stems, because that's my next step. I'm gonna make sure it's really dry because I'm going into the green. So I have 2 values of green to start with. I have light and dark. So I'm first gonna grab those colors, and I'm gonna do some stems down here. And I'm going right up to my flower and right off the edge of my paper. And I'm gonna leave some space because I'm going to do my dark green, and I'm also going to mix some different values as well. So here's my brightest green that I have, and I might add a few leaves while I have just the bright green over here. And then I'm going to wash because I'm going for my dark, dark green. And you can choose to leave space between your stems, but I kind of like when it's touching. You decide for yourself if there's yellow paper showing or if you just want it to be green on the bottom third. All right, there's my light and dark. Oops, I forgot to do some dark leaves. I'm going to do that quick before I start mixing my greens together. All right, now I'm going to go for a medium. I'm going to grab a little bit of my light green, make a little pile. I might do a few piles. We're going to try a couple different values of green. I'm going to grab a huge scoop of dark green for this one. There's my medium, and then I'm going to just grab a tiny bit for this one. This is my medium light. So now I have 4 shades of green. Go right off the page. Don't be afraid to get paint on your placemat. That's what they're for. We'd rather have paint on your placemat than yellow paper showing through. All right, and once you think that your painting is well balanced, so I'm just balancing out with a few more leaves, as you can tell, until it's to my liking. Then you're going to put your brush in the medium sink. It's going to go soak in a water bucket that's already in the sink for you. And your paper plate, paint is not good for the recycle. It's actually bad for the environment. So our paper plates, since they have paint on them, go in the garbage can. And finally, your beautiful masterpiece is going to go on the drying rack so that I can post it to Artsonia and you can take it home next week.